Hi guys, Taylor here. Today I thought I'd do a quick review of a Ridgid e110 offset hex wrench. Um, so for this, I thought I'd just include just a standard hex bushing, just to show the jaw functionality, how well it grips, and the way it grips these types of fittings. I apologize in advance if there is any shaking of the video. I do have blood sugar problems, so I'm doing my best to hold still. But I'll do my best, and hopefully nobody will give me a hard time about it. So anyway, let's get back into the review here. Okay, so we've got a standard hex bushing. So this one, not that it matters particularly for this. This is 1.5 to 1.25 inches. You can see there's threads inside and outside the bushing. So this is 1.5 to 1.25 inch bushing. So probably about a 2-inch. I'd say it's probably roughly about a 2-inch tall nut from one side to the from one flat to the other. So let's go ahead and show you. First, we're going to take a look at the wrench here. You can see here it says, I'm sorry, I always forget it's upside down. There we go. So it says the Ridge Tool Company, Elyria, Ohio, USA. All right. Here we've got Ridgid and USA on there. Same on the other side. Okay. So first thing I'll mention, very smooth nut operation. If you've handled pipe wrenches before, you know that some of the cheaper ones are not nearly as smooth. This one is incredibly smooth. It's a one-finger operation for that nut. So very easy to operate. You can see here the nut support. You can see how thick those are, very strong. Okay, we'll take a look in here. You can see it's got a smooth polished jaw surface, and then on the inside here, those are also pretty smooth. Nothing that's going to cause any damage to things like chrome fittings and whatnot. That's what a lot of people actually do purchase this wrench for, and a lot of people are interested in this wrench for, is for installing chrome flush valves and just finish plumbing fittings, basically things that you're going to see that you don't want to use a regular pipe wrench on, for the simple reason that a regular pipe wrench will actually cause teeth marks in the surface of the fitting. As you can see with this, I have used a pipe wrench on this before, and you could see, if you look, you can see those little teeth marks. They're all over it because I've used a pipe wrench on this fitting several times. For fittings like this, that doesn't necessarily matter as much, but for things like chrome finish fittings, things like that, you really don't want that, because well, for obvious reasons, you don't want unsightly marks, things like that. If you're an installer or repairman, things like that, you don't want to damage the fittings, because obviously they're chromed to look nice in the first place, and you want to try your best to maintain that finish as much as you possibly can, and that's where this Ridgid wrench comes into place. So let's talk about materials. Materials here, I have actually contacted Ridgid themselves, the customer service technical department, which is who you would contact if you wanted to know information on material specifics of different tools that they provide. Things like that. So the handle section is one piece, and then the jaw is one piece, and then of course you just have a nut. This wrench, of course, does not need or have any kind of spring. So there's really no rocking back and forth because it just doesn't need it. It's not designed to have that. It's basically an adjustable wrench designed for plumbing, if you really want to get into the basics of what this thing truly is. This is really just a adjustable wrench. That's really all it is. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the nut and jaw. You can see our jaw here. Okay. There's the nut. So they did not tell me specifically what these two pieces are made of. I did not ask, and I'm fairly certain they probably would not tell you if you wanted to know, because it's probably a closely guarded bit of information. But they were more than willing to tell me that the handle here is made of ductile iron. What that means is that this wrench is likely to bend instead of breaking. You can hear, even if I just tap on it with my fingernail, you can hear it ringing. I just tap on it. So that just means that this wrench is going to be extremely strong. In addition to being ductile iron, it's very thick, as you can see. Very nicely machined. And as you can see, there is no internal spring assembly of any sort. It doesn't need one. The other thing is it has an I-beam cast handle. So what that just means is if you don't know what an I-beam is, and that's okay if you don't, not everybody does. But basically what that means is if you were to take and cut this wrench and look at the cross section, it would be shaped like, quite literally, just like a letter I. What that means is it's just an extremely strong design. That means when you're applying a lot of force with this wrench to a fitting that you need to get loose, that this wrench is not going to be flimsy or weak or anything like that. It's actually stronger having the I-beam handle than if they cast it as a solid handle. So this is stronger, and it does also reduce the weight some for this wrench as well. So to assemble this wrench, you can see it's just a 3-piece wrench. That's all there is. You got a jaw, a nut, and a handle. That's it. This piece is replaceable, this jaw, as well as this nut. If you want to buy this nut, all this is a standard 10-inch pipe wrench nut. So if for some reason when you go to look up replacement parts for this wrench, you can't find this nut listed with it, you can just buy a 10-inch pipe wrench nut, because this wrench uses a 10-inch pipe wrench threaded shank size. It's just thinner, but the thread pitch is the same. As far as the name suggests, e110, that just basically means that it's about a 9.5 to almost a 10-inch long handle. So this wrench is not super large, and that's good because if you need to get inside of tight spaces, like underneath a fitting that might be in a tight space behind, such as things like a toilet, if you've got water shut-off valves, or just anything that's pretty close to a wall that might otherwise be difficult, if not impossible, to get to, this wrench is going to allow you to do that, because in addition to being somewhat smaller, it's also thinner than a standard pipe wrench as well. So that's going to allow you to get this wrench into smaller spaces. Same thing with the jaw. It's a lot thinner than most pipe wrenches would be, and definitely most adjustable wrenches. But you can see it's got 2 surfaces on it, one on the back and one towards the front there. And then of course on the bottom handle itself, excuse me there. On the bottom handle itself, of course, we have a jaw as well. This is obviously non-replaceable because it's cast as part of it, but the way this wrench works, that's not going to get worn down. So there's really no problem there. Again, to assemble this wrench, you just slide your jaw in place, set your nut into the carrier there, and then once the threads catch, and I can tell you it's a lot easier to use this wrench with two hands, but because as you know, of course, I'm videoing this, this is the easiest way I can do this. But it is a very smooth jaw. It features extra large self-cleaning threads. What that basically means is if you get little bits of rust or whatever in there, the threads supposedly are supposed to clean themselves. I would still recommend, obviously, taking some time every once in a while and cleaning those threads out just to maintain that smooth operation of the wrench. Because in the plumbing world, time is money, and things like a smooth pipe wrench make install work and whatnot a lot easier. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at how this wrench bites onto a standard hexagonal fitting here. Thought I would just show that. I'm just going to switch hands here so it's a little easier for me to get this on here. So you can see it's going to fit nicely over the fitting. Give it a good tightening. And as you can see, that gets a three-sided bite on the nut instead of just a two-sided nut bite, whereas with things like an adjustable wrench, you're not going to get a three-sided bite. What that means is that if this is properly secured to the fitting, it just basically means that this is going to have an extremely strong grip on that fitting, and you could put a lot of force into either tightening or loosening the fitting. So this wrench in that capacity alone makes this a very superior wrench to an adjustable wrench and even to a plumber's adjustable spanner. This has a larger capacity as well. I believe the largest the capacity of this is, I believe, is 2 5/8 inch. So if you have a 2 5/8 inch size nut or hexagonal fitting, this wrench is going to be able to accommodate that. And that's the next thing about this wrench that's nice about it as well, is though it's a pretty small size wrench, it does have a reasonably large capacity. So it combines a small offset wrench design with a large jaw capacity. So that's good because sometimes you need a smaller wrench to get into a tight space, but you still need the capacity of a larger wrench. Well, this wrench is going to combine the size of a 10-inch offset handle with the size capacity of the same, which is actually the same in this case as their spud wrench, which is the one I'll show next because I do also have that one to show. So that'll be the next video, the Ridgid spud wrench. So this has the same capacity. This wrench also comes in a straight handle design. The current sizes available for the straight handle design are the number 17 and the number 25. So the number 17, as the name would suggest, is about a 17-inch handle. It's a straight wrench. It has the same style of jaw basically, just without this offset design. So depending on your particular job application, you may need one or you may need the other, or you may just need both of them for different applications. It just really depends on what you're working on. But this wrench, as I said, it combines a very small wrench, a pretty considerably small wrench, with a large capacity. So that's good. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's got smooth jaws. That means that if you clamp this down onto the outside of a chrome fitting, such as flush valves, finishing escutcheons, brass fittings, things that you don't want to get teeth marks on, this wrench is your best friend for those things, because this wrench will not do that. As you can see, obviously it has no teeth. It's not going to cause damage like this to the surface of your fitting. So anyway, that's the e110 offset hex wrench. If you have any more questions about this wrench, please feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section below under this video, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day. I'll see you later.